Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Reclaimed Ranch. My name is Tara. I want to say thank you for allowing me that week off last week. We had an unexpected death in our family, so I wanted to be able to spend time with my mom and my aunt to kind of get things squared away with them. And so for this week, I do have a couple more Christmas things. I said I was done, but I wanted some just for my own home. So there's a few projects that I did for you guys, and then I will have a furniture flip this coming Friday for you all. So I hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you soon. So the first thing I wanted to do was make a wreath for my big window down in my living room. And I had this straw wreath, I don't even know how long. And I got that red stripe ticking fabric from Hobby Lobby when it was on sale. So I'm just going to make a fabric wreath. I saw Yvonne from Ginger Chick Rehab do this, and I just thought it turned out super cute. So what we're doing is we're just cutting these pieces into 4-inch squares. And then she said just to use a screwdriver, and because it's straw, you just push it right in, and that's all you need. I mean, you could hot glue it, but for the most part, they just stick in and will stay there. So this is when you turn your Hallmark movie on, kind of have a relaxing show to watch while you get all these done. That's what it looks like with the first ring. And I came to the conclusion that I didn't have enough of the ticking fabric. So then I started going through my scraps and found some drop cloth. So I cut those pieces up into the 4-inch squares and just kind of placed them randomly throughout that ticking stripe stuff. And then, so this next coming year, my main goal is to clean out my inventory / hoard / stash. And so I went downstairs and I found a different type of fabric, because obviously I didn't have enough of this one either. But it was the same kind of color. So the fabric had more texture, like a ribbed texture, but the color fit perfect. So I just made the outer ring and the inner ring with that color. And then I used just a copper piece of wire to make a hanger for it. I thought it turned out pretty cute, and it fits perfectly on my window. So this piece I just had sitting around, and I thought I could use it as a little candy dish. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the crackle method. I'm using DIY's Apothecary and just some Dollar Tree white school glue. Now the thing with this is if you do a really thick coat like I did on the front here, you'll get really big cracks. If you're not into that look, then go to a thinner coat. When you apply your paint, you don't want to brush too much. You just want to evenly coat it, and then use your heat gun or hair dryer to force the cracks to come through. So I did just one coat on front and back, and then because of the divots in this tray, you can see the paint is kind of sliding down because it was such a thick coat of glue. So I'll show you how to fix that in a minute. So on the back side, I just used a very thin coat, and it allowed just smaller cracks in the paint to come through. But this makes a perfect little candy dish, and the color goes good with what I have in the house. So it's something that I can get out of my stash into decor and then possibly sell in the spring. I did use my little finger sander just to kind of distress the corners and the edges a little bit. You can see how big that crack is on that little divot there. So what I'm going to do eventually is just take a little bit of glue, put it back onto that same spot, not really thick this time, and then I'll add some paint and then make it crack again with the heat gun. And then it turned out perfect. And that's all I needed to do to this one. I did seal it because it's the DIY paint, the chalk or the clay-based paint. I did seal it with the liquid patina, and I only used one coat. Okay, and I am a rolling pin fanatic, so I needed a Christmas one. So I'm going to use my Fusion paint in the color Highlander with some IOD ink in the color Tomato, I believe. And then I'm going to use the IOD stamp set called Rule Scenes. And it's just going to give a really nice old feel to the rolling pin. I have never stamped in this technique that I'm going to show you before, so this will be interesting to see how it turns out. So I'm just going to paint the handles red. I'm not doing a really thick coat. I'm allowing some of that wood to pop through, and that way I don't have to stress it as much in the end. And then I'll dry those really good before we start with the stamping. I've seen this technique done by Jamie and Zeb on Jamie Ray Vintage, and a lot of the big YouTubers have done this, but I was always afraid. So we're just going to give it a go. So I'm just going to stamp up most of it and then just roll until you see the end come around, and it turned out perfect. I was so excited. I absolutely love how it turned out. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm just going to leave it natural. This next one, I got this, I believe, this frame at the Goodwill bins, and it says Happy Camper, and it was definitely raised where it says that, the paint was, so I'm just sanding it down to make it more smooth. I'm going to give it one coat of the White Swan DIY paint, and I'm going to be using the transfer, Christmas transfer, I believe it was last year's release, and there's probably nowhere where they can be found, but this is just to give you an idea of what you can do. And so I'm gonna do one coat, dry it really well, and then I wanted to do, I don't have any gingerbread in my house, so I wanted to do a gingerbread one. So this is the Noel inlay, and that's the picture we're gonna do. So with the inlays, what you wanna do is you always wanna first spray the inlay with water, allow the fibers to open up and release, and then you're going to add your second coat of paint. Not real thick, just a thin coat of paint, but enough to make sure everything is touching. And then you're going to, I used my hand, but I also used my brayer, and I just roll where the image is. I don't roll everywhere, and that's going to limit where those lines come into play. Sometimes you'll see the outline of where the image was of the whole paper. And after I'm done, I spray it down and let it sit until it dries. Of course, I was too impatient, so I just used my heat gun. And then once it's dry, it turns like an opaque white color. And then you spray it again and let it sit for about 30 seconds. And then you slowly pull back. Now this transfer was already distressed. It's made to be distressed. And so there was a couple of spots where a little darker, some were a little lighter, but I love that look. And so I think it turned out perfect. Now the way you want to seal this is not the way I did it, but my little sprayer broke. So you want to use 50 of water and 50 of your type of sealer, but then you're going to get, if you go too much over it, like you see here, I'm wiping back because it's smeared a little bit. But if you use a sprayer, you just spritz it on a couple coats and then it's good to go and it doesn't smear. So I just dealt with it. It was for me. It wasn't something I was really upset about or anything. So I just used my little paper towel to dab where it smeared a little bit and it pulled it right up. I mean, there's a couple spots, but if I get that nitpicky, I can go back in with my white paint and kind of cover that up. But here's my window and my new wreath. I love it. I love this ticking stripe. It's a very vibrant red with a nice cream color. So I think it pairs really well with that window. And then the others are right here. Let me know what y'all think. What one was your favorite? I would have to say the rolling pin is my absolutely favorite. And it was the fastest one. It took me less than 5 minutes. But go ahead and let me know in the comments below what you think. And I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you back on Friday for a furniture flip. Bye!